Hey, what's up? This is Paul from the Deadlings, and I wanted to share my first impressions on Haruki Murakami. You may know some of his work, the Wind Up Bird Chronicles and Kafka on the Shore, but the first book that I am reading by him is South of the Border, West of the Sun. And I didn't know much about Murakami other than seeing in the past covers of Kafka on the Shore, and it just looked really cool and surreal, which makes sense, just like this book. And from what I read, he's a surrealist writer, and other than that, I didn't really know much. I did a quick search before I started reading this book, and it's kind of cool that he's inspired by writers like Kurt Vonnegut. I'm a huge Vonnegut fan, and I have to say, reading the first chapter of South of the Border, West of the Sun, I was pleasantly surprised, and not because I had any expectation that I wouldn't like Murakami, but when I first started it, the book just felt kind of jagged, and it might be my lack of maybe reading more surrealist writing or associating surrealist writing with surrealist paintings. But I guess I expected the book to immediately have like very fluid, very trippy writing. But it doesn't start off that way. Like I feel like the first chapter of this book starts off really dry, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it. But once I hit towards the end of the chapter, it sort of made sense, the pacing of it, because there are these two really beautiful passages that just hooked me, and I can't wait to keep reading it because of these two passages. And just to give a bit of context, spoilers for the first chapter, the main character is describing a childhood friend that he had, and they were both only children, which is a big deal where they grew up, because people are more known to have brothers and sisters. And there's this, they mention how the people think that families with only one child, like the marriage, it isn't going great, or like, something like that. And so there's a new student who comes to town, and he ends up being the person who needs to catch her up with homework and all of that, because he lives the closest to her. And then, lo and behold, they end up becoming friends, and them talking about being only children becomes like a big part of their of their relationship in this first chapter. And the passage that really hooked me was when he was describing this time that they held hands for 10 seconds back when they were 12 years old. And I just love to read it because, I don't know, the description of it is so beautiful, and in contrast with how I felt like it was in the beginning, it really just took me aback. The feel of her hand has never left me. It was different from any other hand I'd ever held, different from any touch I've ever known. It was merely the small, warm hand of a 12-year-old girl, yet those 5 fingers and the palm were like a display case crammed full of everything I wanted to know, and everything I had to know. By taking my hand, she showed me what these things were, that within the real world, a place like this existed. In the space of those 10 seconds, I became a tiny bird, fluttering into the air. The wind rushing by. From high in the sky, I could see a scene far away. It was so far off, I couldn't make it out clearly. Yet something was there, and I knew that someday I would travel to that place. This revelation made me catch my breath and made my chest tremble. And I just love that description of seeing this possibility through this interaction with someone else, even though you're not quite there yet, and just having this idea to look forward to, and realizing that and discovering that through someone else. I mean, I love it. I don't know what else to say about it other than that. And then the chapter ends with this other great passage, and it's kind of sad because you find out that after they graduate from junior high school, they start losing touch because they move 2 train stops away from one another. And I love that detail because I feel it's relatable for me, at least, where I had friends who I thought were going to be in my life for the rest of my life at the time, but then, you know, we either end up going to different high schools, and yeah, we're only a few train stops away, but we end up losing touch. And so I love that bit, and the chapter ends like this. We were, the two of us, still fragmentary beings, just beginning to sense the presence of an unexpected, to-be-acquired reality that would fill us and make us whole. We stood before a door we'd never seen before. The two of us alone, beneath a faintly flickering light, our hands tightly clasped together for a fleeting 10 seconds of time. Yeah, it was just, it's exactly what I thought the writing was going to be immediately. And obviously realizing it now, it's like you can't just like immediately start with that, because then where would the contrast be? Where would the new, like the dynamics be? So I don't know. I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of this book, and also just reading more Murakami after this. And just so you know, the translation that I'm reading is translated by Philip Gabriel. Just to check it out, I looked up what translations of Murakami people think are the best, and I actually didn't see Philip Gabriel mentioned in any of those resources. But so far this is great. I personally don't know how to speak Japanese, so if anybody, you know, could attest to how Murakami's books are translated, or like what if there is a difference that is lost in the English language, I'd love to know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this book. I'll probably do another video talking about how I liked it to the end. I probably won't do any in-between reactions until, or in-between reviews until I finish it, unless I'm like really moved by something like I was by these two passages. But yeah, any Murakami books you recommend, let me know. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.